Well, our reporter Karen Moore is at the North Gauteng High Court this morning. Karen, a very good morning to you. 7 years later and about 10 million rand later, it seems the DA is not giving up on this one.
Remember that they had to go through multiple court processes to even get to this point, even getting access to the so-called spy tape recordings of Bulelani Ngcuka and Leonard McCarthy, then the current and former NPA bosses, was a major battle for the DA. Of course, they won that right, but actually had to return to court to compel the then NDPP, Nonkobo Jiba, to actually hand those tapes over. Of course, we have seen some startling revelations made in the court documents in this particular case, including Jacob Zuma's lawyer, Michael Hulley, claiming that at one point, former President, then President Thabo Mbeki, actually offered Jacob Zuma several million rand as a bribe to leave the political landscape and to exit political life quietly. Of course, he maintains he did not do so, and of course, Thabo Mbeki very much denying those particular allegations.
All right, and with regards to the tapes, Karen, and the arms deal, what exactly do we know about what was purportedly in those tapes, what was said about the arms deal, what was not said, what was left out? And there was a whole issue about chunks of conversation that had been removed. If you can remember, take us back a little bit to that.
Remember that the NPA has never ever stated that it did not have a case against Jacob Zuma. We know that KPMG did substantial forensic audits, that in the end the state believed that he had received so-called corrupt payments from Shabir Sheikh totaling 5.3 million rand. The real issue in those recordings was the timing at which charges against him would be reinstated. As you would remember, there was substantial toing and froing during the initial phases before Jacob Zuma was charges were reinstated against him, and it very much appeared that McCarthy and Ngcuka were fearful that charging him before the ANC's Polokwane election would make him into a victim and would actually assist him in his political fight for the for leadership of the ANC. So they determined that they would not charge him pre that conference, and that is really the issue, that there was political interference in the timing of the charges, not that the charges or the evidence or the witnesses or anything towards the meat of the case against Jacob Zuma was compromised. And that is really what this court, 3 judges, is going to have to grapple with this morning, Rebecca.
All right, and bring us back to today. What are we expecting? What will happen in court today?
Well, the DA will begin, of course. They are the ones that's seeking the review. They're going to make their arguments in court this morning about why they believe the decision of the former NDPP, then acting Mokotedi Mshe, was irrational and unlawful. And they will get into the meat and substance of what informed his decision. And we should see some interesting legal arguments about the nature of those tapes, what they contain, and what ultimately impact they had or should have had on Mshe's decision. Remember, of course, that the prosecutors themselves who were involved in this case were adamant that it was not for the NPA to make a decision about whether this case would continue, but for a judge in a court of law.
Okay, so all of this happens between today and Thursday. Thank you very much, eNCA's Karen Moore, live to us from the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria this morning.